Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Market Down Podcast. We are live once again following AEW Dynamite. My name is Nick Cummings, joined by Chad Big Bad Johnson, Dane Hernandez, and James Gisanti. After two seriously good weeks of Dynamite, we have slowed things down a little bit as we get more away from the pay-per-view and the St. Patrick's Day Slam and fall back into more of a rhythm here. So nothing too crazy tonight, but still I thought a very good episode of Dynamite. Let's get right into it. Starting with the first match, CM Punk versus Dax Harwood. It started with, Cash went to the back at the beginning, which was interesting, I thought. And we had the Ass Boys right in the crowd. They played a bit of a small role in the match, although they came up more later, which we'll get to. Cash Jade eventually come back down after what looked like a fairly rough spot where both Dax and Punk flipped over the ropes down onto the floor. Personally, for this match, for me, Chad, there were a lot of really good false finishes, I thought, which played very much into this very red hot crowd. Shout out to that crowd tonight. They were really good. And it ended eventually, Punk reversed a sharpshooter into the Anaconda Vice to pick up the win. And then he did the Aaron Rodgers discount double check title motion. So it looks like we're going to get Punk going for the title here. But I thought this was a great open to the show. It really revved this crowd up a lot. And now we have maybe Punk title chance. Excuse me.
Yeah, I thought it was a great opener as well. I'm with you. The crowd was red hot tonight. You always appreciate when the crowd is good. How great was it seeing the Anaconda Vice again? Oh man, that was just icing on the cake.
Nice to see it win too.
Right. You know, I haven't seen that in a while.
I'm not
always looks great. So
yeah.
You know that was a given.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not sure if he's won. Punk has with the Anaconda Vice in AEW yet, but anytime he whips it out, phrasing, I love seeing it. But Danny, it looks like, as I said, Punk might be making a run at the title here, at least in the near future. I think he's at least hinting to that. So what do you think of the match? And then are we looking towards a Punk title build, or are we gonna have to wait until I guess we have to wait until this Adam Cole thing ends and then maybe he gets a shot?
Yeah, I don't think the Adam Cole thing's gonna go too long, so I don't think we'll have to wait long for that. But oh my god, I loved this match. I was kind of against it at first because FTR is turning face, so why are they facing Punk right now? You know, but this match was fantastic. It was like you said, the false finishes were so good to the point where I'm pretty sure the referee bought into it too. On both of the last two ones, like he was slowing his hand down, like, oh my god, is this really the end? So that it was so good, and the crowd, like you guys already said, phenomenal crowd. They made this match even better, which already was a great match. It really felt like a big deal, even though again it's just essentially an exhibition singles match. It felt like so much more of a big deal than that. The whole Ass Boys stuff, because I wasn't paying attention during the entrances, so I didn't notice them at first. I was like, who are they calling an asshole? And then I was like, oh, they're talking about the asshole.
I missed that too.
Okay, they're out there because I guess they're doing a callback to quarantine time where they were just the annoying members of the crowd, and that's like their gimmick now.
Hey. Austin Gunn carried the pandemic era of AEW.
He really did
on his vocal cords.
I feel like carried's not the right word. Maybe
let me ask you, what would you prefer? Thunderdome, Austin Gunn?
If it's a one-on-one, I'd take the Thunderdome over Austin Gunn.
Wow, how dare you?
But he was like the lead cheerleader in that crowd. It wasn't just him. Like there was him leading everybody.
He was mic'd up, and everyone else wasn't.
No, I think he was literally just that loud.
Yeah, so that's the only issue I have with it. But back to the match itself. So good. FTR's turning face, and what a nice subtle way to do it. I thought maybe they were going to do a handshake kind of spot after the match, but Cash came down. He didn't jump Punk after the bell. They're parts of the pinnacle, mind you. So they should, in theory, be wanting to jump this guy, but they didn't do that because we're gonna get face FTR. This is mind blowing. And
Right.
yes, we'll probably get Punk for the title, and I don't think that's gonna help Hangman. But if, let's say, Punk is the guy that beats Hangman, then I think we know when we get our third Punk MJF match. So I don't know what's gonna happen with Punk in the title, but if this somehow leads back to MJF, I'm cool with that.
I will put in the caveat that commentary was very specific to mention that they weren't sure what title Punk was going after. They said it could be the TNT, it could be the tag. I don't think he'd go for the tag. The TNT does seem plausible, but I also thought that FTR was starting to look a little more face than they have been. And I didn't mention it because I thought it was just me.
Oh, no, they're 100% turning face.
I called it, I think, like 2 weeks ago. When they fired Tully, I was like, this is a face turn.
Yes, you did.
And there was some skepticism, but...
Well, firing an all-time great usually doesn't precede a face turn. Which,
Tully was like the 5th best 4 horsemen.
But my point still stands.
Like, maybe even 6th.
Just me up.
All-time great.
Be a great night.
Yeah, I was there when I get 5 minutes into that. We're insulting Tully Blanchard.
Oh,
I love it.
I could do this all day, baby. Like Captain America style. Fuck that man. Fuck his family. Like specifically his daughter. And
apparently the horse he rode in on.
Hey, Hangman was on the show. Respect the horses. But regardless, the whole thing came from family. The whole thing came from, no, it's not about family. It's about championships. Fuck him. Fuck him. Go tell him to watch Fast and the Furious. He'll understand what it's about. Orange Cassidy can show him. And that's all that matters.
Okay.
James is on one tonight. I like this shit.
Completely throw off my entire game plan of where we were going with this because I am actually
Fast and the Furious. Sorry. Anyway.
That's a different podcast. That's the movie podcast. There's a name for it. I forget what it's called. But the idea of FTR turning face does intrigue me, especially to jump ahead a little bit. At the end of his promo later, MJF did mention the Pinnacle was still together, and that was going to start with FTR next week. And he kind of got cut off with what he was saying, but like it's at least in his head, they're all still together. So the face turn of FTR, James, is going to be an interesting dynamic with all of this, especially, Punk's going his own way and there's the whole Wardlow situation. There's a lot of storylines mixed up into this one match.
One, I think that's one of AEW's strengths. I think AEW succeeds at really cultivating their universe, their world. One wrestler can be involved in 5 different things because that's how life is. It's not like when I'm doing something, everyone else in my life just falls away and ceases to exist until I'm done with what I'm doing. I'm going to have to answer to a bunch of things. And when you're somebody who's involved in a group, you're going to see a lot of intersecting things. And I think that's one of the better. You didn't really see that with the Inner Circle as much because it always sort of went back to Jericho. Mm-hmm. But at least here you see it a lot with the Elite. With the Elite, a lot of different storylines happen and a lot of different guys get involved in storylines. I love that aspect of it. And I think they're doing a good job with it here. Who wrestled Punk? Was it Dax?
Yes.
Yeah. Dax always delivers in these one-on-one matches. Whenever they happen, they don't happen that often. They don't happen. They should happen more than we're getting. But whenever they do happen, he really just knocks it out of the park. He knocked it out of the park with Jungle Boy. I think he had a great match a while back with Hangman at one point. Mm-hmm. He always delivers, and I'm glad that he got to do it again here with Punk. And man, can we just acknowledge that they are hitting us over the head with these Bret Hart teases.
Mm-hmm.
I will flip a tit if Bret Hart joins AEW, and it wouldn't even be his first appearance with the company. He's the guy who debuted the belt. There is history in AEW with Bret Hart. Bring the man in. Bring the man in. He's probably the only Hart I want in the company right now, but bring him in.
Somebody on Reddit called it a Bret Hart on a pole match, or Bret Hart's love on a pole match, like, because both of those guys like love him so much. I mean, we do have the Owen Cup coming up at some point, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Bret in the company at one point or another, even if he's not full time, even if he just makes an appearance or two with the cups coming up, like that would make sense to me.
Oh, go ahead, Danny. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that CM Punk never punched anyone in the face for Bret Hart, so
Yeah. True.
It's true. That's true. You do not fuck with Bret when FTR is around, and I guess Braun Strowman too. But somebody said this online, and it's so true. AEW might be able to do what we as a wrestling community have been wanting to see happen for a very long time. We might actually see the reconciliation of Bret Hart and Martha Hart, Owen's widow. And, we don't have to get too deep into it because we're covering Dynamite, but what else, like, would anybody else be shocked if AEW was able to accomplish something that the other company couldn't do?
I don't think now I'd be shocked by anything AEW succeeds or excels at.
they couldn't make Cody Rhodes happy, so
I don't think Cody Rhodes knows how to be happy.
I thought he did.
He's a heel.
But anyway, next segment.
All right, moving on. We had a quick Jericho Appreciation Society. That is actually very difficult to say. A lot of sh's in there, not shushes. But yeah, the JAS had a quick backstage promo hyping up their match later against Silver and Reynolds. And they also called out Santana, Ortiz, and Kingston for not being there the last few weeks after they got their shit kicked in. Following that, we had Darby, Sting, and the Hardys against the AFO being represented by Private Party and the Butcher and the Blade. But the first note, I have in all caps, yes, more tornado tags. The boy loves tornado tags. And honestly, with Sting, they're a really good way to go. Because then, like, he's constantly protected, like, because you can hide him somewhere. There was a lot in the corridors of the not the corridors, the concourses of the arena tonight. So there wasn't a whole lot of camera focus on him, or at least not the entire time, which I thought was good. But let's get into it. So the match started with Darby just missile launching himself right into the Butcher, which again, Darby is going to kill himself one of these days. But goddamn, if that kid don't look good doing it. Yeah. And then immediately after that, Sting hit a crossbody on everybody else, and then the bell rang. So eventually, right before commercial, Darby and Butcher were fighting in the crowd, and then he got thrown down the cement steps into the concourse, which is now twice Darby has been thrown down cement steps because he's good at it, apparently. Eventually, later on in the match, Private Party hit a double side effect onto Matt off the stage through a table, which was pretty cool. Meanwhile, back outside on the concourse, Darby and Sting held down Butcher and Blade on a couple of tables on a merch table. Jeff climbed a ladder and then shimmied his way onto a beam over a window and then swanton bombed off of that, which was just banana lands. Eventually, we get back to the ring. Private Party starts beating up Matt, and then Sting comes in for the save. One of Private Party hits Sting with a chair, and he's no-sold it again, which I will always mark out for that spot now, at least the first time. If you hit him like multiple times with the chair, all right. Getting hit once with the chair with Sting and him just no-selling it is amazing. Anyway, that eventually parlayed itself into Sting being set up for the gin and juice. He then countered and was able to get one of Private Party into the position for the Scorpion death drop. Matt got a side effect. They hit him in stereo 1, 2, 3 for the win. This, as the tornado tags go, this was a beautiful clusterfuck, James. I will never not like a tornado tag, especially because there's always violence. And this was, this was just fun. What else is it? It was fun.
Shocker, my favorite segment of the night had to do with the Hardy Boys. Jeff, that Swanton gave me like PTSD flashbacks to his time in TNA when he was doing the crazy stuff he was doing with Abyss and the Monsters Ball matches. It was giving me like those flashbacks, and I loved it. It scares me that he could still go at the rate he's going now. Darby. I don't know how to say this about a guy who's roughly my age. I just want to like hug him and protect him, because my God, the stuff he's putting himself through is just going to hurt tomorrow.
Yeah.
I loved it. I'm glad that Private Party got to shine a little bit. I'm glad that Butcher and Blade, who we all know we don't think they should be involved in this stuff, at least they were involved in something high profile. And it was great to see everybody involved just really have a standout moment. Sting got to be Sting. Jeff got to have his big spot. Darby got to defy death itself. I don't know. And Matt got the win. Good for Matt. So everybody really hit it out of the park for this match. I really enjoyed it. And I'm excited to see where the Hardys go from here. I know Darby is facing Andrade next week. And I don't know how Andrade is going to feel about beating up Sting's son right in front of him. But I think everyone is benefiting from this feud now, which is so bizarre to think when Matt was leading the Hardy family office, how I used to think nobody was benefiting from those feuds. So it's been a real nice turnaround, and I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with your last point there, where the HFO really didn't have a whole lot going. They were almost just there to lose. And now, Danny, like James said, like they're in a legitimate feud here, and not just because it's the Hardys coming back, but it's like actually good. And like Private Party is getting a really good rub here too.
So I mean, they are still just there to lose, though. Like they're not taking any wins in this, really. Like maybe Andrade beats Darby next week, which is a fucking tragedy. But like, can we just get a freaking Darby, or no? Can we just get an Andrade Jeff Hardy match so I can fast forward through it? Like, But no, I'm just kidding. Jeff Hardy was.
I thought you only fast forwarded through Raw.
Wait, shut up. He was saying something nice. Shut up.
I lost my train of thought. It's
sorry, dude.
God,
I had to get that joke off.
The third tornado tag in like 8 weeks for Sting, and oh God. But I'm not gonna pretend that fucking ending didn't fall a little flat because of that really, really bad botch. Like that was really bad. I really thought they were hurt. Like Sting couldn't stand up for like almost a whole minute. Like that was ruined what otherwise was like a borderline perfect match for what it was supposed to be. But that aside, because Sting is of age where I'll forgive pretty much anything he does. So I thought this was great. I thought everyone on the babyface team looked like stars. I thought Private Party looked good. I thought Butcher and Blade were there. And yeah, all fantastic. I like that Hardy had enough height for that swanton where he could actually, hit it clean and
rotate.
not look like he's about to break his neck and then barely make it. Enough time where it's like, if you don't make that one, I mean, come on. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm more surprised, or no, actually it makes sense that Private Party was setting up Sting for the gin and juice, and that Jeff Hardy was like, miles away where he couldn't get involved with gin and juice, and yeah, that's it. I don't have any other mean things to really say about Jeff Hardy because overall this is pretty good.
I'm weirdly madder at Nick because I went from getting that Jeff Hardy compliment to not getting it to getting a burn instead. And it you needed.
Yeah, but I made a really good joke and also
You
promoted Danny's Raw Fast Forward. So sorry.
It was worth it.
Them's the breaks.
I didn't even I kind of realized that the Gin and Juice reversal was a botch, but I didn't because Excalibur kind of sold me on the fact that he went for the what you call it? So like the
Death
reverse.
drop?
No, like Excalibur initially called it because they fell into the corner like that. He called it as a submission. I'm forgetting the name of it. And then Sting got up and hit the Scorpion Death Drop, and then he.
Oh, it was terrible. It was almost a full minute of him struggling to get to his feet with Cassidy.
Yeah, they they got a little tangled up in the corner and the ropes and stuff. But like, I mean, yeah, like you said, Sting's 60 something, and like I think we said 63, I think, and like shit happens, in that when you're that old and you're go out there with these 25-year-olds with rubber springs in their legs, so. It is what it is. But Chad, I think you would agree with all of us that this, it was a fun match for what it was, despite, that little bit of a botch there at the end.
The little bit of a botch, I absolutely just wrote it off because the match was so fun. Everyone knows I'm an agent of chaos, and this was chaotic fun. I thought in the beginning that I did not need to see Jeff on a ladder. I said, let's be safe. It was cringy for a moment, but then when he used the beam, I was like, oh shit, he's going for it. It was great. I might be in the minority, but I'm going to say that that's a double entendre.
Wow.
I'm just getting started. I think I enjoy this Sting run more than any Sting run I've ever enjoyed. That being said, I wasn't the hugest WCW fan, so I didn't see Prime Sting. And then everyone knows his WWE run was shit. And I don't know, I'm just like, he looks almost born again to me. Even as old as he is, I can't believe he can still go the way he's going, even with the botches. I don't know, I'm enjoying it.
I mean, you got to remember there was a time after WWE where we thought he was done.
Right.
After the neck injury. So the fact that he's out there not only doing what he's doing, but like jumping out of the crowd onto tables like he did at the pay-per-view.
I love it. I just love it.
Yeah, he's got a whole new invigoration ever since he's gotten to AEW. And just seeing him out there having a blast has been great.
Truly fun.
I think this also speaks to AEW knowing how to use their guys. I mean, I was going to say, look how well they've kept things safe, but that's just not true. The man is putting his body through insane things, but he's also not doing it on a weekly basis. Right. I think he's wrestling once a month, once every other month. And I'm sure it still sucks to take those bumps, but he's doing better. And I compare it to how he was being used in other places. Of course, you're going to get hurt if you're taking a dangerous bump and you haven't really been involved in anything for a long time. Sting might not be having a match every week, but at least he's getting out there being physical.
Agreed.
In his last place of employment, he not really anything, and then took 2 buckle bombs. And of course, that man wasn't going to be able to wrestle afterwards. So I think AEW knows how to properly utilize its talent.
I agree.
Yeah.
I also have to go into the comment section real quick. Dragoon said that I should check up on his Heath Ledger Joker run in Impact Wrestling.
It was good.
I have not seen that and will do. Thank you.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Also, I want to shout out Nas for just complimenting the Raw Fast Forward. So thank you.
It is definitely better than than most things WWE is putting out right now. No, I think, James, to your point, this was probably the closest he had wrestled a match after a previous one, because he did one at was it Revolution? I don't even remember the pay-per-view anymore. I think it was Revolution. And yes, it was Revolution, and now he did one this week. So I guess it was 3 weeks at best. So
yeah,
Yeah, so like this is probably the shortest amount of time between the two, but even then it was 3 weeks, I think. So you're right, they're definitely using him at a very good pace. So he'll probably not like wrestle again until like late April, early May, and that's a smart way to do it.
And truth be told, we shouldn't be seeing Sting like that much. Let Darby have the matches instead.
Yeah.
Or you know what else it is? Because it's not just like that Sting hasn't lost, in AEW's 8-0, but he's not beaten Adam Cole or Hangman or Bryan Danielson. He's beaten 2.0 when they had their old names, which I don't remember, not their new names, which I also don't remember. But they're beating guys where it's acceptable, so that whenever they do lose, it's just going to make whoever beats them look that much better. Like when MJF beat Punk, or when Hangman wrongfully beat Bryan Danielson. But that's how you use the legends. You don't just have them come in and beat your top guys, but you also don't just have them come in and lose all the time. There's a balance to strike, and they strike it very well.
Yeah, his and their being him and Darby's best win is probably FTR. I would think so. So,
yeah.
And that's I don't know, because it's Sting and he's built so big, like it's not unrealistic. But let's move on here because we got a lot to get to. And speaking of FTR, they had a quick backstage interview where they called out the Guns, aka the Ass Boys, called them pups, said they were spoiled, and that they were, while they respect their father, they haven't earned their respect yet. After that, we got to Moxley and Danielson against the Varsity Blondes. Julia Hart was there. She spent the entire match sitting on the steps, not watching the match. Something happened with her, I think, on Rampage, but I haven't watched a Rampage in a minute because it's been like St. Patrick's month, so I've been busy.
Thank you for being coherent enough to be on the pod tonight, buddy. We appreciate it.
Well, I'm still kind of recovering from actual St. Patrick's Day weekend, but I do my best. Anyway, Regal is back on commentary, which I, again, very much enjoyed. He referred to the team as a grappling cooperative because we don't have a team name yet. So anything I think might be a team name, I'm just writing it down just in case. Mox and Brian both started the match again by jumping the guys right as the bell rang. We had a quick Wheeler mention on commentary, Wheeler Yuta mention, which I thought was interesting. And then to wrap up the match here, Moxley and Brian hit both their finishers. They both locked into submission, and they both tapped out the Blondes. And then we had a Moxley post-match promo. He said Regals was the only opinion he ever cared about, and he called on anybody who wanted to join the Blackpool Combat Club, and said if you wanted to be with them, you had to fucking earn it. So he didn't say fuck, but he definitely implied it. So
if anybody's gonna say fuck on Dynamite, it's gonna be Moxley. He already has.
He already did.
He already did.
So this wasn't as good of a match, as I think they had last week, but it was still good. I thought the Varsity Blondes acquitted themselves well, but I also think they kind of proved or didn't prove themselves to Regal as people that he might want to train. So, but also, do we think Blackpool Combat Club is now the name of this team? Because that's what Reddit thinks it is.
I mean, that's what Moxley called them, so I guess so. It's a whatever name. It's fine. We can just make fun of it and move on with our lives, But I like that they have no interest in the Varsity Blondes, because I have no interest in the Varsity Blondes. So
what? You don't like Ralferson?
I mean, if that was his real name, I would probably like him a little bit more. I would at least be interested, but I can't say that I am. So I don't care. This is great, and there's a lot of speculation on my part right now, but it's gonna happen. Like this is all gonna slowly build to the Blackpool Combat Club versus the Jericho Appreciation Society in a match, in a loser changes their name match, and winner gets Daniel Garcia match. And it's gonna be fantastic, because I feel like without directly ever addressing each other, over the next 6-8 weeks, they're going to say or do things that contradict each other, that inadvertently throw shade at the other, and this is going to culminate. And this is, this is like looking past the Eddie Kingston and Santana and Ortiz of it all, because, I think they're also going to come out of that feud looking better. But I think this culminates with like all out, or no, double or nothing. I mean, like with either like a War Games or like a Stadium Stampede or something along those lines, where Regal's merry band of combat assassins takes on Jericho and the non-Canadian Canadians, and it's going to be fantastic. I know this has much to do with the match we had tonight, but this match wasn't important. It was just another win and a way to get a Moxley promo in there. So this was a filler week for what's still the best thing in the company. I don't care.
Well, not everything can be perfect, but it's one of those things again where it is progressing the storyline, which is important. And we did have stuff with Wheeler Yuta a bit after this, which I can just go through really quick, I guess, just because it's relevant. It was a best friends backstage promo with Shivani. Trent interrupted, said he never liked Wheeler, but Chucky T and Orange Cassidy brought him in and trained him and let him sleep on their couch, and he's going to repay them by joining up with Regal, to which Wheeler responded that he loves those two guys to death. He never really liked Trent, but he isn't there to be
Trent is an asshole.
Yeah.
In real life.
Yes.
In real life.
So is Chucky T.
BTE reference, guys.
Yeah.
BTE reference.
But Wheeler isn't there to be a best friend. He's there to be the best wrestler. So a more of a tease towards him going with who I guess we are officially for now calling the Blackpool Combat Club, James.
I don't like that, but okay.
Apparently neither does the chat. 67% early returns on my poll say they don't like it.
I was one of those votes. I'm going to disagree with you, Nick. I enjoyed this match. Danny, I get you. I don't care about the Varsity Blondes, but I like both guys.
Good.
I like both guys individually. Griff Garrison has so much charisma and has so much potential. And I don't think this team is doing him any favors. I know you don't really watch Sammy's vlog, but he really does he oozes charisma on that vlog. And I would much rather see him partnered up with Sammy than with Pillman Jr. And that's another thing. Moxley always to me felt like the heir apparent to Brian Pillman Sr. It the loose cannon Brian Pillman, they're just, and what John Moxley became there, it's just you see it, it just feels right. Mm-hmm. So there's a part of me that wants to see Moxley take Pillman Jr. under his wing. I think that would work. I think that there's potential there. I'm not saying I need him in that group. I would much rather see Wheeler Yuta. I would much rather down the line see Daniel Garcia. There are a bunch of guys I would rather see in this stable, but I wouldn't hate it if Pillman Jr. was there, because he definitely needs a shakeup from what he's been doing, which is, I don't know, looking like a jabroni against MJF. I think more than anything, though, this segment showcased that Julia Hart's turn has been the biggest fumble in a while with AEW. There was so much hype about how they could have had her joining the House of Black. You could have done some. I know nothing about this character. I know nothing about who Julia Hart is, but I was excited to see her be part of the House of Black. Now, if it happens, all I'm going to be thinking of is, why didn't this happen a month ago? What happened in this last month that they couldn't have done this sooner? So I think that's a bit of a fumble, and I think this match showcased that. But again, I'm never going to complain watching Bryan Danielson kick someone's head in. I'm never going to complain seeing Moxley do his shtick, because it's great. And I'm never going to complain listening to William Regal on the mic doing commentary. So overall, great segment. Poor Julia Hart, and get Griff Garrison or Jungle Boy. I don't know who he is. Get him out of that group.
No, you see, you said that, and all I could think of is, despite everything you just said, Julia Hart's story is still more interesting than anything the Varsity Blondes will ever do. So
I agree, but it's not like the Varsity Blondes are benefiting from this. They benefited from like the 2 weeks that they were actually feuding with the House of Black, but that's it. We're past that. Get her out of there. Move her on to bigger and better. Split them up. Let them do something else. Because all they are right now is a team to job. Which you
and that's
need,
all they should be. I don't see. I think the thing is, I don't want more from the Varsity Blondes. So
Fair.
I
Fair
think
point.
at least with the Blondes at the moment, they're the young, still like young guys on the roster. So they lose to the top teams and then they win a bunch on like Dark and Dark Elevation and stuff. Julia Hart's still wrestling with the eye patch, by the way. I saw that on Dark the other day. But at this point, like, even if she is going to House of Black, I don't care.
Exactly.
And not because I don't care about her like I want to. And the storyline was cool if she was going there, but they haven't interacted in like a few months now. And like, I feel like her going to the House of Black just kind of the momentum for that died. Yeah. If she splits from them, that still makes sense. And like she goes down a different dark path, but I just feel like going to the House of Black at this point is just, it makes no sense to me at that point. Like, I don't know. I mean, Chad, like, is it, am I tripping here? Like,
no,
okay,
you are not tripping. I literally, when it first happened and we were talking in the group chat, I was with the whole Julia Black Heart shit. That was cool. I was ready for them to trademark it. Now I'm kind of like, whatever. I disagree with James. I'd rather Brian Pillman than Samuelson. Yeah, I'm gonna besmirch his name each time. That was a William Regal reference, guys.
Poor guy.
As far as the tag team match, I don't care if they call themselves Mox and Cox. I'm with Danny. This is the best shit going for me on AEW. Like I just don't. Regal is a great touch. I don't give a damn what the name is. Inject it in my veins. Period. Inject it in my veins.
I mean, I was just caught off guard. Like, don't get me wrong. I know Bryan Danielson is a very virile man, but I wouldn't have thought of Cox for his nickname. It's not where my brain was going. I get it. Mr. Small Package, I get it, but I would not have gone with Cox. I dig it though. It's better than that.
That reaction was so good because you were looking off camera and you just bug-eye turned. It was so good. I'm gonna have to go back and gift that. That was great.
Make sure to GIF it as well.
Yeah. Also, I think RIP to that guy. I think he passed today. The creator of the GIF or GIF or whatever we're calling it. So,
rest in peace, I guess.
Moving on. We go from a lot of fun to the most hated man on the roster. MJF comes out with Shawn Spears for a promo. He had a security detail of 3 men near the entrance. He called out Punk to start, saying that Punk cheats a win in a no disqualification match. So cool, bud. And that they would have the 3rd match somewhere down the line, and he would hand Punk the most embarrassing loss of his career. But that wasn't the meat and potatoes of this. That would be the Wardlow stuff. MJF started calling Wardlow a pig because he was greedy and referred to him as pig and piggy the entire rest of the promo, which was awkward, at least.
It made me uncomfortable in a weird way. I
Right?
don't know why.
It was icky, for lack of a better phrase. He said he made Wardlow. He said Wardlow made a deal with the devil, which then led to, good old Texas chanting Jesus at a Jewish guy, to which MJF responded that he would nail Wardlow to a cross like Jesus. So, there's one way to get heat in Texas. It's that. Eventually, after a few more comments about Wardlow's mother, Wardlow came down. A bunch of extra security came out of the woodwork to jump Wardlow and hold him back. MJF says that because Wardlow was not employed by AEW, but rather by him, that Wardlow was trespassing because MJF didn't want him there, and that he would continue to pay Wardlow to stay home until he faded back into the irrelevance from whence he came. And then MJF, as I mentioned earlier, closed by saying the Pinnacle is still together, and that would start again with FTR next week. So a lot there, Danny. But like I said, I think the main point of this was the continuation of the Wardlow promo and the fact that I don't think we should see Wardlow for a week or two after what MJF said about him trespassing to AEW unless boys, you gonna buy a ticket, James? Okay, there you go. Be cool.
That would be so bad.
The old buy a ticket shtick. Okay.
And they probably will, because a lot of this is just meta jokes, and MJF is, he said he's going to future endeavor him, and he's making the references, which I love, but I hate to buy a ticket the week after you're written off, you're fired, or, I hate that. It's garbage. But the promo was good. Oh my God, man, MJF was colder to Texas than the last snowstorm that hit it. Holy shit. I could say that because I like Texas overall. I've been there, so I'm basically one of them. But God damn, it was a great promo. Like I said earlier, I was kind of more interested in the Punk stuff. I'm not going to lie. The Wardlow thing has been really, I don't like it anymore. A lot of that is because of the Scorpio Sky of it all being champion. A lot of that's because one of these guys has to lose, and they both are losers in their last match. So I don't like that. But goddamn, I just don't. I don't know. It'll be good because MJF is fantastic and Wardlow's over, so it will work. I'm not doubting that it will work. I can't say I'm the most interested in this, like at least not like I was like 4 or 5 weeks ago. I'm actually more interested in what's next for both of them as opposed to whatever they're doing with each other, honestly.
Well, I would say, the Scorpio Sky stuff and the Punk stuff, and like that's to James's earlier point of like there's just so much integration of everything going on within the AEW roster. So you're gonna get some
Scorpio Sky stuff makes it bad,
Yeah. Well, that's because you don't like the Scorpio Sky stuff. I don't think necessarily, in a vacuum, Wardlow losing the TNT title like that, or at least, not winning the TNT title. Obviously, he didn't have it, but him not winning the TNT title like that isn't a bad thing. You're just upset that it happened to be Scorpio Sky as the champion picking up that win. If it was somebody else you liked better, I would imagine you would feel differently.
I mean, I like Scorpio Sky, but just not as a TNT champion. But I don't know.
Your complicated feelings on this situation are making this muddier than it should be.
AEW is making it muddier than it should be.
I do agree to that. And not to jump ahead of Chad here. I don't know who was
you're fine.
next.
Well, I was going to say to Danny is don't let your feelings cloud your judgment.
Thank you.
No,
Master
don't let your feelings cloud your judgment. You're an AEW apologist, Rev. You defend everything they do.
That's not entirely true.
That's completely true.
I am more than willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I do think they have 100% earned it. I will
agree.
call them out. Like, I think the Julia Hart stuff is stupid. I said that earlier, or at least they haven't pulled the trigger on it earlier enough. So I'm willing to call them out. I don't think they do a lot wrong, and I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and wait on certain things. But James, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you. Sorry, Danny. I will say the one aspect of this storyline that I really am just like, it's just grinding my gears. It's making me resent Tony Khan in kayfabe, because it's like, why the fuck doesn't he just sign Wardlow?
I think that would be the deal with the devil. The deal with the devil. There's probably language in Wardlow's contract. That's why, because I was thinking too, like, why can't he just quit? And he's probably not allowed to just quit. It's probably in his contract.
And that's fair. And you know what? I want to hear that addressed, but it should have been addressed because yes, I'm Tony Khan. I am totally okay with having this man go for one of my championships. I'm totally okay with putting this man in a cage with one of my EVPs, but I won't sign him to a contract. I just won't. It doesn't. No, I'm good. It's starting to bug me. It's starting to bug me. I didn't like it in the beginning. I'm liking it less now. And I agree with Danny. This feels like the type of story where I just kind of want to see what's next for both guys. But I know we've got to go through it. Like, we can't just hit the fast forward on this feud. It needs to happen. But just sign him to a contract, explain why he can't be signed to a contract, and move on.
Well, he just bought Ring of Honor, so he has no more money left. That's it. Yeah.
So let him sign a contract with Ring of Honor.
Yeah, like the Khans don't have more money. Come on.
It's all going towards the Jags, man.
I will make another point to what you said, Danny, about them both taking losses, because Dragoon agreed with you in the chat, and I mentioned this in the chat, but I'll say it here. They did both lose, but they lost because of each other. So MJF lost to Punk because of Wardlow, and then Wardlow lost to Scorpio Sky because of MJF. So yes, they're building a feud through losses, but at least the way they went about it makes logical sense. But I can see why you would be upset that both guys are coming off losses, and then obviously one of them is going to inevitably lose. So I do get that. Chad, what do you think about the whole situation?
As much as everyone knows, I don't like to say this. I 100% agree with Danny. And as as a Wardlow fan, James, I think, if I'm not mistaken, said it maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago about this trope that's super cringy. The whole JBL, Shawn Michaels, you work for me, where's the contract situation? And it's like, it sucks worse than the Jaguars, really, actually. So
maybe that might be why the Khans have no more money, because they spent all of it in free agency.
I mean, I don't know. I think, as James said, we do have to go through it. I'm just not sure I'm going to enjoy much of it besides the actual match. So it's kind of for me, which sucks because I love MJF and I love Wardlow. It's I don't know.
I think it comes down to, we know both men are capable and are deserving of so much more. We want to see MJF going for the world title. We want to see Wardlow away from this storyline. Even though it's been built to this beautifully for so long, we just want to get to the resolution. We want to be past it so Wardlow could go for maybe the TNT title, so Danny could not have to see Scorpio Sky with it. We want to see Wardlow power bombing people, particularly Sean Spears. I don't know if that's just me.
No, I don't want to see that.
Oh no, I want that.
But I'm not. I think we're also just a little worried because, as great as MJF's feuds are, they tend to go the distance. They tend to go a while.
You can say it, James. It's too long.
They go too long. And I think we all just want to see this be done with sooner than later, and we're just bracing for Impact.
And I think I also think the timing of it doesn't help. I mean, again, once again, not to harp on it, because I really don't hate Scorpio Sky that much. I just think he should be TNT champion. But like, if Wardlow beats Scorpio Sky, this is better. Like, this is just better, like, overall. Because that was the out right there. Like we just said with the contract stuff and the trope, the out was having him win the title, because a lot of people have come in from outside the company and challenged for the title, the TNT title specifically. But if any of them had won, they definitely would have gotten a contract. Hell, a lot of them lost and got contracts. So like,
contracts. Tony Khan contract. Boom.
Fantastic.
I did it.
Genius.
I did it.
Genius.
Why do we even have a podcast anymore? That was it. We just peaked. But a lot of that gets solved there. And then it's time, and like, I don't know if tying Wardlow and betraying and leaving MJF into the Punk feud was the right move. And maybe I'm only saying this in hindsight because 2 weeks later I'm kind of like over it. Whereas maybe at the time I did enjoy it, but I don't know. I think there's a way where this works out better for everyone. And yeah, again, I don't want to harp on both guys coming off a loss, but it just didn't have to be like that, It just didn't, because now who wins? Who wins this?
Well, I don't know, but that's what I was going to say. 2 weeks ago, all of us were clamoring for this and so excited. And now we're 2 weeks into it, and it all just kind of, well, at least you guys are just, meh.
For me, it's just the contract battle.
That I understand.
The politics behind it, I think, are like sucking the energy and shit that I liked about it out of the situation.
And again, I think, as James said, that's something that's easily fixed by them just explaining it. But like the overall of this, I don't understand why we're all of a sudden just Debbie Downers about it. Like, I'm still here for it. I'm still excited. I want to see this match. I want to see him absolutely fucking destroy Spears. Like, there's so much here that I want to see still, and that we haven't even gotten to, and you guys are already like, we want the end of it. We're 2 weeks in.
But we're not 2 weeks in. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. They've been building the dissension between Wardlow and MJF. I think we hit like a 2-year anniversary a couple of weeks ago from like the first time that there was any tension between the two of them. So we've been teased with this breakup for 2 years. We finally got it. And now that we're getting it, which we still do want it, we have to accept a lot of storyline bullshit to get to it. We have to accept the fact we have to accept that Wardlow was naive enough to think MJF would just let bygones be bygones when nothing about his character has ever let us think that would be the case. We have to believe that Tony Khan wouldn't sign him to a contract. And yes, I like that idea you had, that maybe that contract MJF has him signed to says he can't be signed to AEW.
But again, ironclad contract.
The ironclad Big Show, Paul White, let's go Big Show contract. I'm gonna believe it, but they haven't said it. You said it. So I have to accept a lot of unnecessary shit to get to something that's been teased for 2 years. Did
Wardlow look smart in the past?
Exactly.
Since he betrayed MJF, has he looked smart? No. He's looked kind of silly.
There's one good thing that came out of this segment tonight. We go another week with someone making 10 look stupid in how to dispatch of security guards.
Oh, poor Ted.
We'll never let that go.
The second I saw that, I knew this was coming.
I can't let it go because every week since then, somebody has managed to do it better than him.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. I'm sorry.
410 and phrasing. All right, let's let James calm down and move on here. We had the best friends interview segment I mentioned, so we'll skip over that and go straight into Adam Cole versus Jay Lethal. Pretty cool old school Ring of Honor matchup, which Excalibur talked about at length, saying such things. He mentioned Cole had a 3-2 lead in wins over Lethal, and that Cole turned on Lethal to join. He said the Elite. I assume he meant Bullet Club. Anyway, Red Dragon appeared at the top of the ramp right before commercial. And then a bit later in the match, when Lethal locked in a figure 4, they eventually made their way ringside. Towards the end of the match, Cole countered the Lethal injection with a super kick, hit a Panama Sunrise, and then Lethal kicked out. Cole went to lower the boom. Lethal ducked, caught Cole in an Okada roll, to which Red Dragon leapt up on the ring apron to distract the refs. So Lethal pinned him, but the ref didn't see it. Eventually Cole got out of it, used a patented NXT low blow, because apparently all the NXT guys just apparently only learn how to hit people in the dicks there. And then lowered the boom and 1, 1, 2, 3. Then we had a quick post-match promo where Cole called out Hangman, said he was too much of a coward to come down and face the 3 of them. Hangman beeline to the ring, whipped his belt off, hit the 3 of them with it, but that was short-lived. as Cole eventually hit another patented NXT low blow. And then eventually Jurassic Express and Christian came out to make the save. And Cole ran away with the belt. So this was another fun match. I don't think you can ever watch a Lethal and Cole match, James, without enjoying it. And then, a little more build towards our inevitable Cole and Hangman rematch.
I love that this match happened. I love that they acknowledged their rich Ring of Honor history, which is, I've been saying it, has been the true blessing of AEW, of Tony Khan buying Ring of Honor. We're going to see a lot. Like, they've never been shy from acknowledging history, but now they're really going to go in depth with it.
Yeah, they own it.
Right? The one frustrating aspect of this is that Jay Lethal is somehow ranked 3 in AEW. Having
Not anymore.
I can't remember the last time he wrestled on Dynamite, or even Rampage.
I was going to say his match against Sammy when he started, and then he probably had a match on Rampage, and he's mostly been on Dark. But even then, he was 10-3 coming into tonight, I think.
So I love Jay Lethal as a wrestler. I think the guy is super talented. And I'm disappointed with his usage in AEW, so I was glad to see him highlighted here. But I don't know. All I could remember from this was Adam Cole holding the AEW title and how good that looked. He is a guy who, like, Hangman is better chasing belts. Adam Cole is better defending belts. And I still don't think Cole should take the title off Hangman. This, again, feels very filler, and I don't think he's going to win. But do I want him to be champion at some point, and sooner than later. Him having Red Dragon flanking him holding the belt, it just felt right. So hopefully sooner than later that happens. The segment was good. The match was good. No surprise. I love how protected the boom drop. I think that's a Kofi Kingston move.
That is
absolutely a Kofi Kingston.
But how do I call it? Do I call it the lower the boom?
It was like when Daniel Bryan, he was just the knee. Like, it doesn't have an official name.
But I could at least call it the knee. I can't. Do I call it the boom?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess Excalibur always uses it in a sentence where he lowers the boom.
Well, Excalibur is way more eloquent than I am, and regardless, I love how protected.
Just a little more.
Thank you. I love how protected that knee is. I love how protected that move is. And yeah, hopefully Jay Lethal gets back on TV soon, winning and in a storyline. But good for Cole. Good for Cole.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned how hot the crowd was earlier. Like, they were hot for Lethal. Like, people love seeing him. So it's surprising to me, Chad, they don't use him more often.
I think they absolutely need to. I mean, of course, it's hard when you have so many great superstars and not everybody can get a turn all the time. We know that. But I mean, every other week they could use a brother or something. I'm saying. I mean, I mean, the match was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I wanted to see more. I was abreast about the history, and I was excited to see the match. The best part about this whole thing was Adam Cole beating them boys like a baby mama. I meant Adam Page. Sorry, Hangman. Taking off his belt and whooping ass. That was literally the highlight for me.
Say out there like my grandfather used to be.
Right. That was old school. That shit was dope.
Oh yeah, then the stupidest part was he just dropped it, and I was like, "No, keep hitting."
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? You're outnumbered 3-1. That was dumb. But the belt was really good. Danny, what'd you think about this match? And then, do you agree with James that, well, I mean, obviously, I think you agree with James. Adam Cole's got to be champ sooner or later, or sooner than later.
I mean,
I'm fine with later, by the way.
Yeah, I'm fine with later. I'm not dying for it, but he needs to at some point. Yeah, but I'm in no rush for it. But this was good, and I also agree with James about it not making any sense that Jay Lethal was ranked number 3. So it was kind of mind blowing to find out. But again, I don't know how many times we can say this on the podcast, but bro, inflating people's records with dark elevation wins is fucking bullshit. Even though I benefit from it a lot because I see the Acclaimed on TV because he got a lot of wins on Dark and Dark Elevation. Like, I didn't even remember what Jay Lethal's music sounded like. Like, if they didn't announce the match ahead of time, I would have been like, who the hell is coming out right now? Like, that's how little he's been on TV. So it was fantastic to see him. He was great. I like that the cameraman couldn't even keep up with them when he went to do the dive and Cole went around the ring and he just dove on the other side.
Oh yeah.
And he just literally came from off camera because the cameraman couldn't keep up.
That was such an accidental great shot.
Yeah, that was not how it was supposed to go. It just turned out great. Fantastic. But yeah, the match was fun. Good to see Jay Lethal on TV. Stop abusing Dark and Dark Elevation to inflate records.
Sure.
All right, let's move on here. We had a quick video package for Lance Archer against Dustin Rhodes on Friday, to which I had to say, Dan Lambert's still with Archer? Okay. And then I hope, is Dragoon still here? I hope he's still here because he's been bitching about Sammy Guevara all night while we're into his promo with Ty Conti. So Sammy came out after talking quickly with Shivani. He was saying how hard he fought his whole career. And he had done it for the people until now. And then Ty grabbed the mic to say, now they want payback. She called Paige Van Zandt a bitch who's going to get her ass kicked like she has her whole career, which if you're a UFC fan, that's kind of true. Sammy called out American Top Team and the Men of the Year and whoever the fuck else. And he said him and Ty versus any two of them, Men of the Year. And Lambert came out. Lambert said, bunch of shit in which he said absolutely nothing. And he basically just ran down who they had with them. And he made reference to Paige Van Zandt's OnlyFans. But more or less he said that Sammy and Ty would never get their match and Sammy would never get his title back. And then on their way out, Sammy called Lambert back because Lambert's still carrying around one of the TNT titles. And said, hey, Dan, I know we've been living rent-free in your head, but you should know what Ty and I did with that title because now we're living in your mouth. And for those of you who aren't on Twitter, you should maybe get over there because Ty tweeted this out. And for those of you who can't see, that's her and Sammy with just the title. So bonk for everybody. And that wasn't the best promo, Chad, but I got this picture and that ending out of it, so I'm here for it. Bonk again.
I mean, I'm just glad they're utilizing the women. I haven't heard Tay.
I don't know if that's the way we intended. I don't know if that's what we meant when we said, man, we want more screen time for the women.
Well, I mean, Ty just gave herself plenty.
It's double screen time. She
definitely appeared on a lot of screens. But
yeah. Can't be mad at it. The promo was okay.
Yeah.
I have nothing. You know what I mean?
Ty calling Dan Lambert a Bandejo was pretty fucking funny.
I feel like you left out the best line of the whole promo. Where
I know what it is. I know
probably.
He called Lucha Horace.
Oh yeah. Lambert had a bunch of good lines in there, but it was just he just threw out a bunch of insults. And
it was too much.
Didn't say anything.
So these are the things I need to ask. All right, because one. Did they take that picture when Sammy was still TNT champion and then we're like, this'll be good for a promo? Or did they have the promo planned out and we're like, hey, can we borrow the belt for this picture? And who okayed that picture?
But the streets.
Beyond that, I do gotta say, while I agree it was definitely the most memorable line, the Lucha Horace line, it is getting a little lazy with how much Lambert is just constantly calling the women he's really digging deep into the I am an older conservative pig
misogynist.
Man. Yeah, misogynist. Thank you.
Pig man.
Let's cut him some slack, okay? The last person he was being misogynistic to isn't there anymore. So he probably had a lot of material left over for that. But now, the same way Paige is just feuding with Tay Conti instead of Brandy, Lambert's just using all the leftover material now on Conti instead.
But do you think Lucha Horace would have worked for Brandy? Like, he had to come up with that for Ty because that wouldn't have worked.
It works a bit more with the fact she speaks Portuguese and Spanish than they would have for Brandy.
I mean, I'm just saying he's going to the misogynistic well because that's what he was supposed to do. You know, he would still been doing it to Brandy, just probably wouldn't have been Lucha Horace, but something to that ilk,
Still pretty clever.
It would have been very inappropriate, I think.
Is it wrong? Like, what was on? Like, I know what's on the belt, but what's on the belt, man? Like, why is it on his? I don't know. I'm uncomfortable.
To paraphrase somebody, don't put a black light anywhere near that. It'll probably look like a Jackson Pollock painting.
Fine this man. Give him a fine. You don't do that to a championship.
Apparently he does. He had two of them, so.
Yeah, one of them doesn't really. It's not
right.
A real
you can do what you want when you have two. Duh, James.
Find out that
one's a prop.
You find out that the one they did whatever they did to is actually the one Scorpio's holding. So Scorpio's just been like rubbing it on his face, not knowing.
God.
That's the con right there. Hey, Dan Lambert is better than the entire Control Your Narrative roster. He does that whole gimmick better than them because he actually makes it entertaining.
Damn. I agree with that too. Shit.
See ya later, CYN. See you later. Anyway, I will say I kind of don't need Scorpio and Sammy to continue feuding. Like, I don't need Sammy to win the title back, and I don't need Scorpio to get another win on Sammy. So, yeah.
I'm shitting on Scorpio a lot, but like, man, Dan Lambert is a fantastic TNT champion. So like, if I got to deal with Scorpio Sky, even though I think Sky can lose it and Lambert could keep his because his is the prop one, not the real one,
I also think I could see instead of Sky, like have Ethan Page and Paige Van Zandt against Sammy and Ty, to keep Sky out of things again.
Yeah, I would take that. I would take that.
Just so like, even if I'm not sure who would win that. I guess Paige Van Zandt winning would make sense because she's new and they want to build her and shit. But like even then, like even if they do lose, then it's not the champ losing; it's Ethan Page, and that doesn't mean nearly as much. And Sammy can get a win there and not have it be back over Sky, and then we have to go through the whole TNT title match again. So I think that would make more sense. All right, let's move on. We had a quick another video package for Swerve Strickland versus Ricky Starks for the FTW title on Friday, which looks really cool, and I might actually try to tune into Rampage this weekend, or at least remember to watch it. After that, we had legit Layla Hirsch versus Red Velvet, Chris Statlander banned from ringside. Layla attacked Velvet in her entrance before the bell, and then Velvet was able to turn that around, get the advantage early. Later in the match, Velvet was able to, I think Excalibur called it the mix, which is her corkscrew kick and her finisher. But Layla was able to roll out of the ring before Velvet could pin her. She pulled out one of the turnbuckles from underneath the ring, which has been her shtick lately. Luckily, Bryce Remsburg saw it, took it, and turned to throw it out of the ring. But Layla Hirsch had another one in her trunks, which I don't know how they managed that, but she did. She hit Velvet with that. 1, 2, 3 for the win. And then Hirsch went in for the post-match beatdown. Statlander came out because it was after the match. She was no longer banned. New face paint, which I thought was cool, which they teased out last week. So she came down for the save. So, good match. Obviously, Hirsch and Red Velvet are two very good wrestlers. And is once again nice to see the women get a match on the card, even though it was just one. But once again, they put another women's match on the card and it produces. So give us more women's matches, Tony, please. Just a couple.
Por favor.
Doesn't have to be one. We can handle more than one. We're adults, some of us. Also, I think Dragoon got so upset he left. Good night, Dragoon.
Well, he only wanted me to have a good night, not you guys. So.
Yeah. Well, he's mad at me. Anyway, after that we had Jade Cargill backstage promo where she basically just talked about the party she was going to have after her 30th win, but we still have no idea who her opponent's going to be. So, good job, guys.
I want it to be like the female equivalent, like her female equivalent of Gold, like Gilbert.
Oh, just like an absolute joke of a wrestler.
Yeah.
I was like hoping it was somebody good. Like they swerved us and she lost, but who knows?
I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that streak to end. If I'm being honest, I'm slowly boarding the Jade train.
So am I. I thought
she's getting better.
I thought it was gonna get to 50, but I don't know. Like the way she was like building up this like win, like party for the win, it almost seems like she's getting too cocky, and they might have her lose. But
I feel like you have to have a signing for that. You know, like you have to bring someone in for that loss, and I don't know who you could bring in, who is available to bring in right now that would be worth taking to getting that first win over her.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like because they haven't announced it yet, I feel like it needs to be somebody big.
I thought
too much of a tease.
I was thinking the whole time it was going to be Ruby, but I haven't seen her in forever, so now that kind of makes no sense.
Did Jade beat Ruby?
She beat her in the tournament.
Yeah.
And I thought, Ruby would do well until they did a part 2, but I don't know. I'm kind of lost as to who the opponent is.
Could they do Britt? Would that be insane?
Not yet.
That'd be insane, right? Yeah.
Not yet. Like
it's a match. She'll 100% lose to Jade at some point this year, but not right now.
Yeah.
I almost meant in terms of like if you're gonna have Jade lose now, would you do Britt? But like I wouldn't agree with either of those decisions.
It's a match we want to see. Now is not the time.
Yeah.
Now just isn't the time.
Just not now. Maybe Statlander, but not now either.
Already beat her. Or I think she beat her.
She's never faced Statlander.
Oh.
Not even in a triple threat?
No, the triple threat was the Thunder Rosa and Nyla Rose.
You're right.
She's beaten Thunder Rosa a lot, honestly.
Yeah, but that was dirty too, because I think that's when Mercedes Martinez showed up.
Tattoo Tamina. Just make it easy.
Konya, that was bad. Anyway, keep rolling. Anyway, actually, third women's segment in a row. We had a Thunder Rosa interview, and before we even start, Vicky Guerrero came out and blew up my eardrums. And in an interview I was very much looking forward to, got cut short because Nyla Rose came out like 30 seconds later and flattened Thunder Rosa. So cool.
Well, you said like complimentary, like, oh, third women's segment in a row, but
I hated it.
I felt more like, oh my God, let's just get all the women's stuff out of the way, like back to back tonight. Let's all cramp it all into this like 10-15 minute window and move on.
Yeah.
That's really what more like.
Yeah, I really hated it too. I wanted to see Thunder like give a promo and like hype up the home state crowd and stuff. So
I didn't even mind that she got interrupted. Like she got her big home state win last week. Like I'm fine with her not getting that moment tonight. I like Nyla. I really do. I'm sick of her being like that, like stepping stone for the champions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's why I'm still such a big proponent that they need to have. I personally think a
women's
tag team division.
Match.
Yes, I know I keep saying it. I know I'm a broken record, but like
I agree with you every time.
Nyla has lost to the TBS champion, and she's lost to the current women's champion too, women's world champion. So if you have a tag belt, these women could be doing a lot more and not just losing to the champion.
Yeah, but then we get like. You see, I watched this other wrestling program, and all of the tag teams are thrown together so that losers like Natalya can get on the fucking WrestleMania card, and it's terrible,
But do you really think AEW would handle it that way? Because I don't.
Yes, 100%. Because they're literally going to be forcing women together to be teams. You got TJ. You could say Britt's faction, I guess, as
You
a
have
team.
you have
Otherwise,
Penelope Ford and the Bunny.
cool. So we got 3. So
You have,
everyone else.
you have Statlander and Red Velvet.
Okay, that's the prime example of a thrown together team. They're not really a team. She's part of a group called Best Friends. That's not a real group.
When was the last time she was on TV with them?
Like 3 weeks ago.
I don't know. She
does come out with them occasionally.
She occasionally, but now she's
More
dark
than occasionally.
Statlander.
I want her to be the TBS champion.
I do too, but like
Statlander, I do.
That's not a real. See, that's the prime example of them. Like, oh, just like, yeah, you guys are friends. You're all friends. We've never established this, but we're just saying you're friends, and because you're baby faces, and now you're a team. That's a prime example of why that's bad. And
I'll give you that one. But then you have what's her name? Tattooed Tamina and Thunder Rosa. That's another team that you could do it.
No.
I mean, they signed
you
her.
Again, you're
making Danny's point.
Single stars.
No, but they clearly have a dynamic.
They did do a whole women's tag team tournament. And I know a few of those people are no longer with the company, but like they've done it before. So you know, some of those relationships are probably still established. It's not impossible.
It's a division that they're going to need to put time into, but I don't think it's going to be like the other company where it's just they're not going to maintain it, and whenever they need challengers, they slap 2 women together. I think they might just slap 2 women together in the beginning and see if it works.
We've only had Jade and Britt when Britt was champion wrestle on the same show once, and it was the pay-per-view. So you want to add another belt into? If they sign like 15 more women, sure, but until they really stack that roster with enough established people, it's not going to work.
Well, they can borrow from ROH until then.
Yes.
Maybe.
ROH famous for their women's division.
All right, moving on.
All right,
He's got a point. Moving on.
I'll say we're getting in the weeds here.
Damn.
We're getting in the weeds here. It's getting late. We got one last segment, and it was the Jericho Appreciation Society being represented by the titular Chris Jericho and Daniel Garcia against the Dark Order. It was Silver Reynolds, who were accompanied by Alan Angels and 10. Couple of cool spots in the match. We had a sick tope suicida brainbuster on the outside early in the match that Silver and Reynolds hit to Jericho, which was awesome. And then like right after that, Jericho pulled an Eddie, tricked Aubrey Edwards into thinking 10 and Angels threw him into the steps, and she gave him the good old ref toss, which she does better than almost anybody in the business right now. She's really enthusiastic about it. Love me a good ref toss. Silver got in his Cesaro run around the ring and take everybody else out spot in, which I will never not mark out for. And then later in the match, Garcia kind of botched the Silver and Reynolds like super combo thing, but they made it work. End of the match, Garcia got a roll up. Reynolds kicked out, and then he went to run the ropes, but Jericho hit Reynolds with Floyd from the floor while Garcia distracted Aubrey. And then Garcia got the tap out win with the Scorpion Deathlock. And the Jericho Appreciation Society picks up their first win as a team. I still hate this name.
Me too. I was thinking it the whole time.
But I guess I'll go to you first, Chad. Seeing them together now for another week, I like their chemistry a lot, both in the ring and in their earlier promo. So I've warmed up more to them, even with this kind of whack ass name.
All right. So Jericho does this thing to me personally that I don't know if he does with anyone else. He's such a tweener. He gets on the verge of being hyper annoying, and then somewhere out of nowhere, he kind of just fixes it in about faces, and then I care about him again. And then he gets more annoying, and then I care about him again. So with this, it's like
Chris Jericho. It's the beauty of Chris Jericho. He gets right up to the line and he reinvents himself, and
literally he latches on to something old for a year, and then he finally resurges and it's different. But I hate the name, but I agree with you. They have chemistry. They seem to be gelling. I hate Jake Hager. That guy is like watching paint dry. I'm sorry. he's super uninteresting. Other than that, the rest of the squad is cool, and everyone knows I love Dark Order. So the match was good.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Hager has a match coming up because he was fucking jacked tonight.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if he has a match, maybe he's cutting weight or he's got to weigh in soon because he was like really, really muscular, like more sort of than normal.
I mean, yeah, he's huge, but
yeah, but like there are times where like he's like big, but he's not like popping like muscle wise. Like tonight, like you could tell he was probably like a little dehydrated, maybe because he's trying to cut weight. So I don't know. That's my brother wrestled. It's just something I kind of look for when it, I look at guys who actually fight MMA and stuff like that. Sorry, random side note. James, what do you think about the whole situation? The Jericho Society Appreciation Society picking up their first win and Floyd coming back.
I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted for sure. It's the same thing that happened with the Inner Circle. You have Jericho teaming up with another singles guy in the group when you have a tag team in the group. Let 2.0 wrestle the tag match. Like the only thing that makes this different is that this group is specifically meant to be about Jericho. So every guy involved is there to serve him. But like, wouldn't it have been nice? I think it would have been nice to see 2.0 get the win. I don't know. Granted, I loved seeing Garcia actually get the win in a main event on Dynamite. I love that. That was great. But again, it should have been 2.0. And another, like, again, we're going back to it. We're talking about the rankings, but the Beaver Boys, Dark Order, are the number one ranked tag team in AEW right now.
They were.
When? What did they do? They've been wrestling on fucking Dark. So it's like, why are they number one? And now that they were number one, they lost to a team that's not even a team. They lost to the non-tag team. So what does this do to the rankings?
Those are the facts.
It was made even worse by the fact that JR brought it up. I wouldn't have even thought about it if JR didn't bring that up, that it would mess with the rankings, but it absolutely does. So I guess Jericho and Garcia are higher on the tag team ranking than friggin' 2.0 right now, and that sucks. So again, going to agree with Chad. It was a great match. I didn't need to see Jericho in this match. I would have rather 2.0, but it was good. It was good. I'm happy for Garcia. And yeah, this group is like, you called him a tweener. This is, again, just, it's something Danny brings up a lot. It's Jericho just glomming on to what is the popular thing right now. He's supposed to, other than the one run in WWE where he was wearing the suit and didn't do any of his catchphrases and didn't have any merch, Jericho is 100% the type of heel who wants to be the cool heel who gets booed because he's Chris Jericho and he wants to get cheered. So I don't know. I'm getting less invested in this group, but I'm in because of Garcia. Like, Garcia is what's keeping me invested. 2.0's antics are always fun, but I don't know. I liked what you said before, Danny. I would love to see them go against Regal's group. I feel like that's such a natural feud to happen later down the road.
Sports entertainers versus pro wrestlers.
Exactly.
They got to fill out the rest of the Blackpool's contingent up there. But yeah, no, I think that makes a whole lot of sense. I'm gonna come back a little bit against your points with the rankings. And like, I agree. Like, I usually agree with you when the established tag team loses to two singles guys. It's dumb. The cheating aspect of this, I think, it helps it make more sense. No, they're not ranked higher than the Beaver Boys. Just they're 1-0. They're not even going to be ranked on the tag.
Well, no, I said they'd be ranked higher than 2.0, not the Beaver Boys.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know because they only do 1 through 5, so I don't even know if 2.0 is ranked. I don't even know what they're called anymore. So we're gonna keep calling them 2.0.
2.0.
But no, Jericho said they're not being called that anymore. And they have new names, but
I don't care what Jericho said.
Yeah, but that's my point. Like, we don't care either. But like, I don't know if they were in the top 5, so I don't think that Garcia and Jericho would be ranked above them, if at all. So, but it does really screw up the Beaver Boys and where they are ranked. At least I would imagine they could still be one next week, but you know, it is one of those things where they do kind of, and Danny's been railing against this all night. They do arbitrarily use dark to get people in positions where they want them to be. Mm-hmm. So it does kind of make sense. And then you build, you just throw a match or two on Rampage or Dynamite, and then they're fully established, number one tag team threat. But I don't know. Danny, does your cat have any opinions?
Yeah, she mainly just wants to show you guys her butt, but
so she thought the match was ass, or
I think she thinks the abuse of the ranking system is ass. Like, she was literally meowing at my door because she knew we were about to get into it, but of course I agree with what James just said, because I was without a doubt going to say that, but it's weird because, well, I agree with the ranking stuff. Actually, like, oh yeah, here we go. My cat is not as cool about it. Look, let's say another cat. Let's go. But I don't mind in this case. I understand why it's Jericho wrestling. It makes sense, and he was trying to recreate some of the good stuff he's done. Like, I think he was trying to do for Silver what he did for Jungle Boy 2 years ago. He was trying to do something like that. Get the younger guy over, get the over guy more over by having him in there with, a more recognizable name. It makes sense. And character-wise, it also makes sense. I wish they played it up more like what Jericho was doing with Sammy Guevara, where he was just like, yeah, we're the tag team now of this group. And, I would like it if he just accidentally called Daniel Garcia Sammy at one point or another. I think, but I actually think as far as the ranking stuff goes, yeah, it's dumb. Also, the Beaver Boys were the number one ranked tag team like 5 weeks ago, and they lost to Jurassic Express. They lost to Luchasaurus and his partner, but they lost to Jurassic Express, and now they're number one again because they probably won 18 matches on Dark and Dark Elevation since then. So it's like, that is the glaring problem. These people only ever lose on TV, but then they win on YouTube. But I actually think this happened all throughout the night. And I liked every single match, though, but it literally was like Brian and Mox, at least they're trying to be a tag team, but they beat an established tag team, but they're at least trying to be a tag team. Punk beat a tag team guy in a singles match, which makes sense in a vacuum. He's a tag team guy. The singles guy beats the tag team guy in a singles match. But it's also a match that didn't need to happen. Like, especially if FTR, weren't they about to enter into a feud with the Bucks? Like, what happened to that? Why
weren't even on TV tonight?
Lost? Yeah, like, why take a random loss? So this episode really kind of did shit on established tag teams in a way. But I wasn't as offended by it as I normally am. But it's more the ranking system on the dark shit. Like in this particular episode, I don't mind the Beaver Boys losing to the Jericho Appreciation Society, which is like a fine name. It's a bad name, but it's not like this egregious name. It's a name that makes sense for someone like Jericho. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's supposed to be bad in kayfabe too.
Yeah,
I think that's the point.
He's being a look at me Louie, he just wants the attention on him.
Yeah, it's better than the Blackpool Combat Club,
I really don't think that's going to be their name. Like, I think Moxley just said it, and I don't think I think they'll come up with something better. I mean, the poll ended at 71% of the people in the chat didn't like it, so I don't see that sticking. I guess or even at best, they threw it out there, and they'll hear the feedback, online, and if people like it, the majority of people like it, it'll stick. If not, it's just a throwaway line.
Yeah. So, it was a weird night for the established tag teams,
Yeah.
But other than that, it was fun. hey, John Silver is in the main event again, and Alex Reynolds would never be in any main event if he wasn't partners with John Silver. And
You're such a
I like
hater.
Reynolds. I love
You're
Reynolds.
such a
like,
hater.
You can't keep that hair out of the main event.
But like, come on, like I love Reynolds. I love him, but without Silver's charisma, you know what? I don't even think this is that controversial, but Silver is the main reason, besides Brody, the Dark Order is over. Like it's Brody and it's John Silver, and then it's everyone else.
I can't say that when you have Uno there. I
do
can't.
love Uno.
You can't.
He was the
Cole
leader
helped.
for the bad times, you know.
Even when Brody was there, he was great for it. Even after he's been great
Yeah,
for
but
it.
still, it's still a major gap between Silver's charisma and everyone else. You know, like he was Mr. B. If he is Mr. BT, like
he is, but I think he works better because of Reynolds. I think you need that straight man to bounce off of his antics.
Literally took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say Reynolds is such a good straight man for him. Like he sits there and he's just like, John, what do you like? Don't eat poop, John. Like just deadpans, don't eat shit. And then John's like, no, but I want to eat the shit. Like he's such like if John didn't have him to bounce off of, like he'd still be funny, but he's so much funnier because Reynolds is there. Or Anna.
Anna.
All right. I think that about wraps things up here. I would like to watch everyone for tuning in, or like to thank everyone. I went 8 different ways in my head there.
It's okay.
We've gone a little long tonight, so I'm a little fried. Let's start this over. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. We're halfway to our goal of 100 subscribers.
We're past it. We're at 52.
We've made it to 52. Nice. I guess we gained 2 subscribers since the start of the show. So thank you to those people. Which means we're now past the halfway mark to our goal. Again, we get 100. James will dye his hair green and rap. I will get the social media stuff into the description below. So be sure to go check all that stuff out. Follow us there. Once again, thank you so much for watching. For myself, Chad Big Bad Johnson, Danny Hernandez, James Asante, and all the various cats that have showed up on this evening's podcast. Thank you for watching. Be sure to tune into our pod later this week, and have a good night. We'll catch you next time here on the